There are over 7,000 languages spoken in the world today, and translators are the invisible threads that keep us all connected. A very cheerful morning to a galaxy of intellectuals present here. Your Excellency, honored guests, and the professors. Today, I, Kajal Singh,
and I, Shubhi Gupta, take a great pride and honor welcoming you all to this meeting arranged on a very special day celebrated as the International Translation Day. Every act of communication is a miracle of translation, says Ken Liu. The day provides us an opportunity to pay tribute to the work of language professionals. The importance of translation in our daily life is multidimensional. Translation paves the way forward for worldwide interaction and also allows nations to forge interactive relationships when it comes to creating advancements in technology, politics, etc.
a skilled translator has the power to break down barriers, maintain peace among nations, promote inclusion, and ultimately save lives. Amid the current global pandemic, we witness how translators and interpreters are playing an important role in the COVID-19 crisis response. And they are the reason to this unprecedented challenge and are the world's unsung hero. They translate public health materials, guidelines, former protocols, and more. This is very important because if people can't access dependable information in their native language, they run the risk of not understanding the steps they must take to protect themselves and others too. So, it is very crucial for all of us to understand the unity and value that translators bring to the table. We want to congratulate and applaud each and every translator from the bottom of our hearts. And with that goal in our minds, we provide a lovely start to today's event.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Let us wish this light of education takes over the darkness of differences, injustice, and violence in the world and guides us towards progress, equality, and freedom.
With this lamp lighting, we thank to the goddess of knowledge for blessing us. We hope she blesses us with more success in our career and the future as well. I request our technical team to please prepare for the visual lighting of the lamp.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
She is the pillar of strength of our department. She is the motivating force in Amity School of Languages. It's our great honor to welcome our Honorable Director, Professor Dr. Kunkum Ray, to come forward to mark the beginning of our event with her erudite speech. Ma'am, please come forward and educate us.
Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself, please.
Yes, thank you for your kind words. And I wish everybody a very great International Translations Day. I'm so thankful to the experts who have joined us in our deliberations to take awareness on translations and the knowledge of translating forward. I'm always beholden to Dr. Narayan, who's always joining hands with us in taking our students and faculty forward. I am so grateful to Mr. Rajay Sahani, who joins us today, Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your precious time. As I said, to think locally and act globally, we have to get down to the roots of translating writers who were pushed to the seams of history because they wrote in local native languages. We have to realize that in all these writers, there was a strain of brilliance. And that strain of brilliance has to be brought to the global front. And this cannot be done unless they are translated into a common language of English or French or Spanish or Hindi to bring them to broader platforms. Therefore, translation studies is akin to, as I say, creation. It needs a lot of aesthetics, it needs a lot of knowledge of culture, it needs a lot of knowledge of traditions, totems, taboos, and a lot of knowledge of history and sociology and geography as well. Years back, I wrote and published a poem, and I will sum up in my words. Justly bear a translator's name. To be a translator of merit is no slight gain. Let only those translate who themselves excel, translate freely who have written well. Be sure to understand the nuances of the dialect so that you can penetrate to the spirit of the text. The work you undertake is so immense an art. Your wit may be circumferenced, often confined to truncated parts. A translator's sense and a reader's judgment may often be at strife, like an arranged marriage meant to support each other, yet pulling apart. Bring out meanings quite far away, losing sense of the original work it so intended. Fools may admire men of sense, some men may disapprove. So translators, interpreters, beware in translating texts of language and cultures far and wide. You may be tempted to indulge in dressing your work with little needed charms that the writer never intended to bring to light, like the computer working on translations, a machine trying to churn off life, word for word, beseeched by rules and guides, like a skeleton on a hanger meant to demonstrate to new medicants eager to save lives. Modern translators resonate with the spirit, ethos, and the contours of the author's mind. Soul, words, and deeds transgress to the end. Take heed. The desire to translate is born out of the urge to understand. A two-way alley, a weaving of relationships, when the pulsation of the given text must resonate and seep through our being. It must recover, discover, and nourish consciousness. So with these words, I thank my faculty members, I thank my students, and I'm eternally grateful to our external experts, and a special word of appreciation for Dr. Shraddha Shrivastava for taking on this endeavor of knowledge and creation forward. Thank you so much. With these words, I turn back to the compare of the day. It's wonderful to see you children taking on to the mic and taking the center spread. So all the best and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's a pleasure to hear from you, as we always learn a lot. Keeping Translation Day in our mind, the students at our university have prepared a small video on it. I would like you to present the video in front of everyone. I request our technical department to present the video. So the first video is of Shruti, Sindhuja, Ananya, and Saloni.
Unindo o pato, tu lajorilá. É chapla! É chapla! Piu piu vriol e o crajian.
Je connais le bathroom.
Tu grelegia e je que achele cadáver.
Oui, cachez-toi! Jackpot! C'est tellement sensuel! Next up, we have Janpi Vishwakarma to present her video.
Bonjour. Pour manger? Puis-je la carte de menu? D'accord, merci. Just a café, s'il vous plaît. Est-ce que vous avez un accès Wi-Fi? Oui, madame. Quel est le code d'accès Wi-Fi? Celui de passer pour le Wi-Fi. Merci. Madame, voici votre café. Merci. Excusez-moi, madame, je voudrais avoir un tiramisu. Bien sûr, madame. Excusez-moi, puis-je régler? Oui, madame. Merci, passez une bonne journée. Merci, bonne journée, Korea. Au revoir, à bientôt.
Next up, we have Devi Archana Rathi. I guess there are some technical issues. Please wait. Please have patience for a few minutes.
Hello. Namaste. Salam. Swadika. Hola. مرحبا.
Well, happy International Translation Day to the respected guest, teacher, and all my friends. Once again, I, Divyarchana Rathi, welcome you with open heart. International Translation Day is meant as an opportunity to pay tribute to the work of language professionals, which plays an important role in bringing nation together, facilitating dialogues, and strengthening word peace. What you think can only be expressed by words. It is the most adorable hidden talent to express what you feel. Making someone vibe with your words is an art. And here I would like to show an animation of a person that how his words, his language was seen by the world.
Why, when things seem to go well, suddenly, without warning, they stop working? Questions. Questions that rarely have answers. And all they do is increase the uncertainty. How much does luck have to do in all this? But actually, in a second, everything can change. Is it true when they say that if a door is closed, a window opens? Life at times seems to be driving itself. It turns, changes pace. How much do we really influence those changes? Who am I? I was the first child of parents who dreamed of a united and big family. And I got used to having more things than I needed. My way of answering them was to be the best in everything. I started looking for more independence. Writing allowed me to invent that place. One day, I decided to look further. I realized that there were many things I didn't know, like how to play guitar. Until one morning, I had a lucky accident. I met Beatrice. She was the first to see the things I had written. Beatrice showed it to Jack. Jack could not stop reading. Jack showed it to Celine. Celine was touched. She showed it to Professor Pingut. Professor Pingut didn't think the text was mine. He showed it to Mr. Connor. Mr. Connor owned a major publisher. And in that moment, everything started. I wanted to tell you that the first edition is running out, and we're printing the second, and you're still in the ranking.
The biggest question, who are you? And the answer is, my identity is my language. Have you ever think without language or without communication, how would the people live? No, everything will be numbed, silence. Yes, language defines us.
Mach, alles was du kannst. Nichts ist unmöglich, hab keine Angst. Die Welt gehört dir, nimm die Schritte. Schmeiß alle deine Sorgen weg, bitte. Atme aus und lass deine Seele los. Den Himmel ist dein Ziel, sei froh. Hör nicht zu denen, die sind gemein. Du bist die Sonne, die immer scheint. Mach, alles was du kannst. Nichts ist unmöglich, hab keine Angst.
Hi, I'm Ariba Shah.
Okay, so next in line we have Ariba Shah.
Hi, I'm Ariba Shah from BBA Semester 3 and I'll be speaking in English and French. It is basically a dialogue exchange between two old friends meeting after a long time, and the heading is The Meeting of Old Friends, La Réunion de vos amis. It has been a long time. Ça fait longtemps. Charles Philip's farm is in Saint, a village in the south of France. La Frame de Charles Philippe est Saint, a village du sud de la France. François. Charles Philippe. I am Francais Dumas. You remember me? François. Charles Philippe. Je suis Francais Dumas. Tu te souviens de moi? Charles Philippe. François. Wow, it's a surprise. It makes how long have you been away from Saint? Charles Philippe. François, ça est long. C'est tout souffri, ça fait combien de temps que tu es quitté ça? François, 20 years. Bing oh. Charles, I have a meeting right now, but we should meet later for dinner. François, j'ai un rendez-vous mais nous devions nous réentendre plus tard pour le dîner. François, yes, see you later. Oui, à plus tard. And that's it. Thank you, Maxi.
Our fifth video is by Tanisha and Jyoti Ramay.
In the journey to fulfill our dreams, we often lose hope midway as youth. This is more so in these tough times of pandemic. We hope this old Spanish poem, along with its translations, will give you hope in your tough times. La esperanza siempre existe, aunque a veces se esconde.
Hope is always there, even though sometimes she hides.
Se mete en las tajas de la cocina, se desliza entre las tejas del techo.
She gets inside the kitchen mugs. She slips among the roof tiles.
Sale por la noche, sin que la veas, de el mango de la regadera.
She goes out at night when you cannot see her from the conduit of the shower head.
Se cuela por tu cama, trepa tu colchón y susurra en tu oreja.
She sneaks into your bed, she climbs your mattress, and she whispers to your ear.
Todos los sueños del mundo, todas las posibilidades.
Every dream of the world, every possibility.
No es sueño aburrido, no es sueño sin esperanza, y no es esperanza sin un sueño.
There is no such thing a boring dream, neither a dream without hope. And there is never a hope without a dream.
Escúchala esta noche, cree en su palabra, sigue sus instrucciones, déjala solucionarse.
Listen to her tonight, believe in her word, follow her instructions, and let her solve you. This poem was narrated by Jyotirmaya Saxena for the Spanish version and Tanisha Mishra for the English version. We thank you for listening and wish you a hopeful journey towards your dreams.
Last but not the least, we have Shivangi with a beautiful video.
Te potinho por ganho a ona fendo mas que zuva combate tenho tola mas tak me ponce pa o zave pa creo buine de mode simio pa si o ponce oi ala o se ganho खत्म होने से पहले जीतने की पूरी कोशिश करो भागो दौड़ो खेलो लड़ो सब कुछ एक बार मैच खत्म हो जाए तो ये मत सोचो कि तुम हारे या जीते बस अपने आप से पूछो डिड आई गिव इट माय बेस्ट और नॉट अगर तुम्हारा जवाब हाँ है then you are the winner.
Okay, so moving forward, we have a notable speaker, Professor Nitanarayan, currently working from the Center of Russian Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Her areas of interest are teaching Russian as a foreign language practice, practical Russian language, communicative Russian language, translation studies at the theory and practice of translation, techniques of translation, translation of newspaper, social science, and business materials from Russia into English and vice versa. She was the former chairperson of the CRS in the batch 2016 to 2018. She has written books on language skills and translation studies. She has several papers to her credit, presented and published in international and national journals and conferences. Her academic excellence in Russian philology, linguistics, and translation studies has been recognized worldwide. She has several national and international research papers to her credit, for which she has been invited as visiting scholar and to present papers to the universities of US, Europe, and Russia. She is the recipient of Dr. Radhakrishnan Millennium National Teacher Award in 2010, Education Award for Excellence in 2016, Modernities Award for Excellence in 2019, and the Pushkin Medal in 2019 for her contributions in the field of education in promoting and strengthening the Russian field. We feel honored and privileged to have you with us, madam. Please kindly enlighten the audience with your amount of knowledge.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
am I audible?
Okay, yes,
thank you. So thank you, Amity School of Languages, Amity University, Lucknow, Professor Kumkum Ray, the director of the Amity School of Languages, the student coordinators, the faculty coordinators, for having invited me today to celebrate this very important day, the International Translation Day, with you all today, and to share my views on the role of translation and translators in today's world. So, namaste, namaskar, adab, sat sri akal ji, jai shri Krishna, good morning, hello, privyet, guten morgen, bonjour, buenos dias, and so on and so forth. So we see the very words of greetings and wishes brings a smile on our face, because at once we feel a sense of connectivity whenever we travel, whenever we go out, and if we hear someone wishing us in our own language, at once we feel connected to him. We feel very nice. In fact, we feel honored to hear someone speaking our own language. This is how we are bridging the national and international gap between us. And this is the greatest gift of translation, because it is bringing in together people, it is bringing in together communities, it is bringing in together two cultures, all by means of translation. So let me take this opportunity, first of all, to wish you all a very happy International Translators Day today, with the desire that we all use translation as a powerful and useful weapon to be closely associated with one another, especially in these most unpredictable and difficult times of pandemic, of which we all have been victims. But hats off to you students after seeing your presentations, your small videos. It has really given a very, very positive mark ahead. And I'm sure you all will keep carrying it forward in the future too. All the best and good wishes to you all. So before dwelling upon the importance and role of translation studies today, it is important to highlight a bit of historical background of this day, why this day came up, and why do we celebrate it internationally. Although the International Translation Day is a recent entry into the calendar of world events, having been established by the International Federation of Translators, celebrating this day annually to pay tribute to the work of translators and interpreters who break down the language barriers to make the world a slightly smaller place. This day is celebrated with a series of events, seminars, symposiums across the world. On 24th May 2017, the General Assembly adopted a resolution to proclaim 30th September as the International Translation Day, after considering the role of professionals in connecting nations and fostering peace, understanding, and development. 30th September was chosen because this day celebrates the feast of Saint Jerome, the Bible translator, who is considered the patron saint of translators. These celebrations have been promoted by the Federation of International Translators, which was set up in 1953. From 1991, the Federation of International Translators launched the idea of an officially recognized International Translation Day to show the solidarity of the worldwide translation community and also to promote the translation profession in several countries. And so the tradition is being carried forward, bringing in innovations year by year. And we see that translation today is crossing all boundaries. It is not only limited to just word-to-word translation, but it is bringing in new techniques, new technologies, new methodologies, and new innovations, new perceptions to the field of translation. So each year brings in new traditions, new innovations, new concepts to the field of translation. So from here we go on to highlighting the importance of translation, which often remains unnoticed by the masses. Hence, there is an important need to emphasize always when we see the final product, we somehow only pay attention to what we are reading. We do not go into depth that how this work was completed. What were the translation techniques? What were the methodologies? What were the translation methods which went into it? How was the work of the translator? You know, it takes a lot of pressure, a lot of, we call it in Russian, upornaya rabota. It's a very cumbersome process. But when the final product comes, if it's not a good translation, we just say, oh, the translation is not good, you know. So do we have the sense of judgment which is required for any translation work which is in front of us? You know, we have to know the nuances of translation processes to judge a work and call it good or bad. So it is very important to emphasize the importance of translation today. So firstly, the International Translation Day highlights the role of translation to encourage the profession, which helps in promoting an understanding of the intangible cultural heritage and mutual respect in a changing world. This is very important to understand, as you see that translators and interpreters are two professions dedicated to one goal, that is facilitating communication between people. Both interpreters and translators are the junction point that impacts the development of business, science, medicine, technology, international law, politics, and a host of other areas. They provide the ability for each of these in the world to learn from each other to the benefit of society as a whole. So the international and international conferences, when we have domestic and external matters of the country, a lot depends on the translators and interpreters. In the newspaper, we read the final product. You know, we see the main dignitaries in front of us. But would it be possible if a translator or an interpreter is not standing behind them? If a certain mistake of even a comma is made by them, it changes the entire scenario. So it is the translators and the interpreters who facilitate the talks, which bring the nations together. So such is the force of the translators, and we must pay tribute to this entire field of translation. Secondly, it is important to understand the relevance of indigenous languages that are in danger of disappearing. I hope you all understand what indigenous languages means. Languages for indigenous people are an integral part of their culture. And it is said, when a community loses its language, it is on the way of losing its culture too. If we lose this, we would not know how we have come into existence. We know India has many, many languages, many dialects, many tribes which are now becoming extinct. Each has its own language. It is through this language which we come to know about them, and through translations. It is not translation from one language into a foreign language, but from one dialect into another, from one Indian language speaking to another Indian language speaking. It is these nuances which are very, very important to be preserved. So undoubtedly, translation is the backbone in preserving these languages through the focused and diligent efforts of the translators. Therefore, the theme of the International Translation Day 2019 was Translation and Indigenous Languages, which emphasized on this important aspect of human existence. The theme for the International Translation Day 2018 was Translation, Promoting Cultural Heritage in Changing Times. So this is the other aspect which the translation studies does. This theme, selected by the Federation of International Translators Council, plays an important role in bringing nations together, facilitating dialogue, understanding the cooperation, contribution to the development and strengthening of world peace and security. It is not only, as I said, the words which are required in translation, but when we translate, it is the entire culture, the entire environment, in fact, entire flora and fauna, the food, because all these are depicted in the final product. If we do not understand the entire social context in which a translation is done, it would not be able to bring out a true translation. Hence, it is very important to say that cultural diversity through translations brings forth the multifaceted nature of translation studies. It speaks of the fact that diversity is an integral part of translation, and it is through this diversity the lexical, textual, social, political, and cultural aspects of languages existing in different societies are portrayed. What is alien and different can be made familiar and comprehensible. Hence it is said that translation is the decisive means to reach the final end. It completes languages, puts together the disintegrated modes of intention, and works towards the perfection of the original, which can be considered incomplete, requiring translation. Thus, translation ironically transplants the original into a more definite linguistic realm. A more definite linguistic realm means that it is not only a linguistic transfer from one language into another, but it is a stylistic transfer, it is a cultural transfer, it is a social transfer, it is a political transfer. So all this knowledge has to be there in a translator, which we do not realize. Because without these linguistic, social, cultural, political transfers from one language to another, a true translation cannot be done. So that's why, thirdly, translation processes have now expanded their span. incorporating not only the exercise of decoding and recoding of source language text into a target language text, but also incorporates the changes and transformations. These are the transformations, social, political, linguistic, cultural, taking place in the society and expressing them towards various means of translation. This means that it is not only word-to-word translation which is important, but translation now goes beyond this, taking into account the extra-linguistic factors too in the form of transformations. These are extra-linguistic factors. Of course, we are not going into the theoretical aspect, but they are called the extra-linguistic factors which are in the form of transformations they are adopted in translation. Translation as a tool of communication helps to bridge the gap between the societies by equating the nations of the processes of transformations taking place in different fields. This has been expressed beautifully in the book Transformations, edited by Sarah Ahmed, when she says that ideas and expectations of transformations are like this. Transformations is a magical concept, alluding to change, disguise, life, growth, power, and agency. Not stagnant, but anticipating a new tide, new directions, new questions. So it is this new tide, new directions, new questions, which are now incorporated into the translation processes. Fourthly, translation and analysis of major literary, political, historical writings, the contemporary literature of different fields, speaks of memoirs of the bygone years on one hand, and at the same time throws new light on the social, political, intellectual, and literary genres of the society. Translation, being a powerful weapon, introduces to the readers with the ongoing changes in the society and its reflection on the different genres, be it publicistic or literary, written or oral presentations. If we read the newspapers every day and you see the language of each newspaper is different, the lexis used as absolutely different, the words which are being used now, the expressions which are now being used in the publicistic style, they were not there in the earlier times. So it is an ongoing change which is shown which is a reflection in the publicistic style. In the literary style, the authors of today use a different language. The contemporary writers use absolutely a different medium if we compare them to the writers of the previous years. So, in this view, the translation studies today are bringing in ideas from the fields of not only politics and economics, but also from sociology, anthropology, and religious studies of one language and society into other. Such has been the case of the post-Soviet Russia, the contemporary situation in the Middle and Far East, the perception of which is projected through the works of contemporary poets and writers. Of course, one can speak volumes on this translation of literary works, but just to give a few examples, it is only through a translation we can read the Western writers and similarly transmit our writers and poets into Indian and foreign languages. Now, if you read the works of Premchand in Hindi, that Hindi is very different from the times when Premchand wrote. So even knowing a language, we find it a little difficult to understand and then to translate. Premchand has been translated into innumerable foreign languages. So it's a matter of honor for us, pride for India to understand how the nuances of that bygone era of the village culture has been promoted, has been shown through the translation of works of its very, very important Premchand as the writer. Similarly, since I'm an academician of the Russian field, works of Chekhov. I remember when we were in school, we used to do plays of Chekhov. And till date, we are doing plays of Chekhov. In English, in Hindi, they are being translated in other foreign languages, other Indian languages. So these writers never die, whether it is Chekhov, whether it is Dostoevsky, whether it is Gorky's mother, which we read now in translation and brings tears, it brings force to our hand. So it is this translation, it is these writers whom we are remembering even today only through the works of their translation. A real translation is transparent. It does not cover the original, does not block its light, but allows the pure language as though reinforced by its own medium to shine upon the original all the more fully. So this is the main task of a translator, to shine upon the original all the more fully. Fifthly, translation promotes comparative and contrastive studies, which is very important to be done, especially today. Translation studies as an independent scientific discipline is promoting the methodological study and analysis of this genre. A lot of books are being written today on how to teach translation, whether it is a science or an art. What are the methodologies, nuances, techniques, systems, and norms of translation? It is important to teach and learn them, lest it will bring very wrong translation. Now, translation courses are being developed and are in the curriculum of our studies. Theoretical matters are being discussed, so it is important to learn the methodological aspects of political, social sciences, business, and other translations. At JNU, at the Center of Russian Studies, we have very specialized courses dealing each with whether it is publicistic material, literary translation, scientific translation, because each field it has its own register. And even the new educational policy, you must have read, is paying a lot of emphasis of having translation studies as a separate discipline, where it should promote not only regional, but also international translation. So it is very important now for every institute, for every university, to have a translation cell where, like we saw today in your presentations, to promote it in a small way, and then it will carry forward in a big way to have translation cells promoting translation studies. What is important in translation is not only the knowledge of only source language and target language, which should be there, but if we wish to translate or describe something, it is very necessary to have the knowledge of both the languages. Otherwise, it will go absolutely wrong. I would just take up a few examples. Well, they are from Hindi into English because those are the languages which are mostly, widely understood. But if you will realize that how a little bit of wrong translation, even, we call it in Russian znaki pripyanya, the words, like comma, full stop, expressive mark, if they are not translated in the correct form, the original, it absolutely goes wrong into translation. So there are certain small sentences. We all understand the word swargvas, iklota, in Hindi. There's a sentence which reads, मेरी माताजी का स्वर्गवास हो गया है, चूंकि मैं उनका इकलौता बेटा हूँ, मुझे 10 दिन का अवकाश चाहिए. So this is a simple sentence, but in the translation, it went like this. My mother has expired, and I am the only one responsible for it. Please grant me 10 days leave. Now see, absolutely different meaning in the translation, whereas the words swargvas and iklota are not that difficult to understand. But synonyms, managasnashnas it's called in Russian. Why it is important to know not only one word for each translation, but each word has several other words in its translation form. Chunki mujhe, there's a comma after that. Chunki mujhe patni sahit, comma, अपने गांव में जमीन बेचने जाना है. आप उसका अनुवाद सुनिए. Since I have to go to my village to sell my land along with my wife. Now land cannot be sold along with my. वहाँ कॉमा नहीं लगाया इन्होंने. अनुवाद की दृष्टि से ये बिल्कुल ही दूसरा अनुवाद हो गया. मुझे अपने पुत्र के मुंडन संस्कार के लिए गया जाना है. Now we have all been talking about the cultural relevance. Now mundane sanskar is a very important sanskar for the Indians, for the Indian traditions. It's a sacred event, but it will not be it's understood by the others, like Dashera, Diwali, these names will not be understood. How do you explain them when you are translating them? Do you retain them? There are many theoretical aspects of explaining them. I would not go into that detail. But the translation, read like this: as I wish to cut my son's head in Gaya. Now just see, Munda, cut my son's head in Gaya. It goes further. So if somebody reads this translation, would he be able to understand what Mundan Sanskar means? मुझे अपनी बेटी का विवाह संपन्न करवाने हेतु 10 दिन का अवकाश चाहिए. As I'm marrying my daughter, please grant me 10 days leave. बुखार होने के कारण मुझे 1 दिन का अवकाश चाहिए. I am suffering from fever. Please declare 1 day holiday for me. So please declare 1 day holiday for me. Well, you all understand this. And the last example, which goes, well, there are many of them, but I'm just trying to pay attention that, these are very small, very easy words, which may not seem difficult to translate, but you see, मैं यहाँ सकुशल हूँ और आपकी कुशलता की कामना करता हूँ. I am well here, W-E-L-L, I am well here and hope you are also in the same well. So hope you're also in the same well, he made that other well. So we see how important it is to observe on 30th September every year, the International Translators Day, to raise awareness about the translation profession and to pay tribute to the work of language professionals in not only promoting cultural heritage and mutual respect in our changing world, but to provide a great opportunity to spotlight the important work of translators, interpreters, and others in language service industry. Hence, it is not wrong to say that every act of communication is an act of translation. And in the process, the words travel worlds, but translators do the driving. Without translators, we would be living in provinces, bordering on silence. Blessed are the translators who have transformed our lives. So long live the translators, and happy Translators Day to all of you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming to the event. And we had a fine experience hearing from you. Your encouraging words will undoubtedly lead us onto new pathways. So now, moving forward, I'd like to welcome the members of the Abhivyakti Club, Ms. Paramita Tekchandani and Ms. Jagriti Gupta, to shower some information about the translation field with a short PowerPoint presentation to the audience now.
Hello.
Yes,
I hope I'm clearly audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Good morning to one and all present here. Translation Day, 30 September. Have you all ever imagined what if translation wouldn't have existed at all? Then the Britishers would not have invaded India, and it might be the case, yes. And looking things from a wider perspective, we can say that translation is something which gives us wings to fly across different cultures, communities, ideas, and emotions. I request to display the next slide, please. But wait, what is translation? Translation is a way of converting a text into a language and from which is easily understood by us. Simple, isn't it? The history books we are reading are the results of translations. The foreign acquaintances we are getting are the result of translations, and so on.
But did you actually understand the process of translation? Next slide. Translations versus word-to-word translation. Literal translation is direct translation, or word-to-word translation is a translation done by translating each word separately without considering how will it make sense when put together. Let's, uh, let's look at it with an example. The early bird catches the worm, and if we translate it literally, it won't make any sense, like you can see on the screen. See, when it comes to conveying the sense of the text, it is really important to translate the content from the reader's point of view. So for you all, the early bird catches the worm, the translation should be Jo jagat hai so pawat hai. Over to you, Paramita.
Next slide, please. Okay, so what is translation and how we have to go about this is pretty much clear. But why do we translate and why is it important? Ever thought about it? Translations make us learn about cultures. Today we learn the literatures of different lands because appropriate translations have made it easy. Suppose, what if King James would not have got the Bible translated in English back in 1611? And now see what that one translation brought to the world. We translated the Bible in approximately 531 languages spread across the globe. It's the gift of translation that today we Punjabis, Bengalis, Muslims, Sindhis, Persians, Russians, and so on have a common language, have a common platform to talk in. Otherwise, born in an Indian subcontinent, how could you be learning subjects in English, French, Spanish, or German? Someone so aptly said that writers write national literature and translators write universal literature. And hence, Bhagavad Gita of Sanskrit origin is traveling countries and its hymns are sung worldwide. We cannot forget the web series and the binge watch in this. All of us might have seen the Spanish series, that is Money Heist. We saw it because of the translations and the English subtitles, isn't it? Over to you, Jagriti.
Next slide, please. Translation is good, but one must be proficient in other languages for a better translation. But why should we expose ourselves to new languages? Aren't the languages we already know enough? What is the need to be bilingual or multilingual in a broader context? So, here are the advantages of bilingualism in translation industry. Positive, emotional, and cognitive effects. Professional translators interpret and understand words in a different way that have positive effect on a way they think and communicate with others. Number 2, improves the chance of success. Being a bilingual, you can become a professional translator or a part-time translator. It can be practiced as a supplementary job as it doesn't require any special education. Jobs of translators makes to the top 15 fastest growing occupations in the world. In many multinational companies, bilinguals are paid 5 to 20% more than monolingual employees. Number 3, highly focused. Being bilingual gives you an advantage over monolinguals. They are able to concentrate more and for longer periods and focus well. Bilingualism delays the onset of various neurological and neuromuscular disorders such as Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. It increases your efficiency in multitasking. A study done in Scotland reported that bilingual children were more successful in problem solving as compared to those who only knew one language. It helps you at making better decisions in life. So let's discuss about the International Translation Day. Over to you, Paramita.
Next slide. International Translation Day is meant as an opportunity to pay tribute to the work of language professionals, which plays an important role in bringing nations together, facilitating dialogue, understanding and cooperation, contributing to development, and strengthening world peace and security. Transposition of a literary or scientific work, including technical work, from one language to another language. Professional translation, including translation proper, interpretation and terminology, is indispensable to preserving clarity, a positive climate, and productiveness in international public discourse and interpersonal communication. Next slide. Okay, so why 30th September? Why are we celebrating this translation day on 30th September only? 30th September celebrates the feast of Saint Jeremy, the Bible translator, who is considered the patron of translators. Ever since 2005, the UN invites all its staff, accredited permanent mission staff, and students from select partner universities to compete in the UN St. Jeremy Translation Contest, a contest which rewards the best translations in Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, Spanish, as well as in German, and aims to celebrate multilingualism and highlight the important role of translators and other language professionals in multilateral diplomacy. Multilingualism, a core value of the UN. There is a growing awareness that languages play a vital role in development, in ensuring cultural diversity and intercultural dialogue, but also in attaining quality education for all and strengthening cooperation in building inclusive knowledge societies and preserving cultural heritage. An essential factor in harmonious communication among people, multilingualism is also regarded as the UN General Assembly core value. Translation at the UN. United Nations translators handle all kinds of documents, from statements by member states to reports prepared by the expert bodies. The documents they translate cover every topic on the United Nations agenda, including human rights, peace, security, and development. New issues arise every day. UN documents are issued simultaneously in 6 official languages of the organization, that is Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. Some core documents are also translated into German. This multilingual documentation is made possible by the UN translators, whose job is to render clearly and accurately the content of original texts into their main language. Over to you, Jagriti.
Next slide, please. Talking about the theme of this year, International Translation Day. Each year, the FIT chooses a theme for the International Translation Day. This year, the theme is United in Translation. A unifying theme is chosen this year, and a competition is held to design a poster for FIT members to print and use to promote the day and join together in celebrating our professions. Next slide. So this brings an end to our presentation. Hope you all got some valuable inputs. Thank you and have a nice day. Regards, Abhivyakti clubs and members.
Thank you so much, Paramita and Jagriti, for presenting such innovative presentation. It indeed enhanced our mental horizon, and we got to know a lot about the National Day and its belongings. Moving on, our second honorable chief guest of today's event is Dr. Ajay Sahani, course leader of Marketing Management, Strategic Management, and Business Communication. Sir has completed his Masters in Marketing Management from Pondicherry University in the year 1998. He completed his diploma course in Portuguese language in Embassy of Portugal in the year 1999, in advertising and marketing management from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth University in 1988, and in tourism management from Delhi University in 1989. He has also done an advanced diploma in French language from Delhi University in the year 1989. Sir has total 31 years of work experience. Sir has published 29 numbers of papers considering the fields of marketing, branding, empathy, foreign language, etc. Sir has written 6 books and 2 books are still in the process to be completed. Sir has been awarded scholarship by Embassy of France in India for special teaching training program in Grenoble, France in December 2010. It's my pleasure to call you, sir, to enhance our mental horizon with your insightful speech.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for such a nice introduction. My sincere thanks. I'm really grateful to HOD ma'am. I believe she's a director also, and the entire management of Amity University, Lucknow, the business French language program in charge, Shraddha madam, Bratish sir, who is a very good old friend, for this honor. And it was wonderful having been here and having listened to Director Madam and Professor Nita Madam as well. It's a fantastic kind of reinforcement for me. And such lovely students. You've got excellent presentation skills. And Hare Krishna to all. And I was able to connect so much with all of you. And just to mention, although I don't like to talk much about myself, it's what we have learned over the years. That is what our responsibility is to share with you all, learners. And I'm still a learner. And one more thing is I did my PhD also in French language. So I have a kind of a very diversified educational background and experience wise also. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, I believe there is some technical glitch there because I have shared the. Anyway, I would like to speak on this particular topic because the previous speaker, Professor Nitanarayan Madam, she had already spoken about, and the students' presentation also have already discussed about the importance of International Translation Day and why it is being celebrated, what are the various reasons. Yeah, now it has come. So I'm going to pick up this particular topic because while translating, uh, the professional translators or interpreters, what process they are going through it. We have intelligence quotient, we have emotional quotient. So if you see, you have at the top of the slide, you have SQ is equal to EQ plus IQ. So having listened to such wonderful speakers, I would start with IQ, EQ, and SQ. But before that, I'm glad that whatever presentation I would have made, it is connecting and correlating what the eminent speakers have just mentioned and the very philosophy behind the celebration of this International Language Day. Now it talks, what I'm trying to just focus on these keywords that spiritual intelligence focuses upon. It is interconnectedness, interdependence, globalization, have been making the rounds for more than a decade now. Now, then I say business, economy, commerce comes next, but first is the survival. We need to revisit old theories, re-engineer our mind, restructure systems, processes, policies, procedures at global level, a system that is beyond the vested self-interest, a system that has a giving approach, and that the system that thinks globally, as Madam had just mentioned, uh, the thinking global and act local. So I was able to coin a term for that, glocal. You know, it's a glocalization from globalization. So it could be glocalization. That's a hybrid word, global and local. So unity in diversity, oneness of the world and the cosmic net. Now, what I mean by this is if you see, go towards many, if you haven't, try to imbibe the scriptures study in your daily life. So you will come to know that everything else connects to everything else. You know, as previous speaker, eminent speaker, she just mentioned that there is a diversity, but the translators, they are like a bridge, because the points that I could remember, junction point, she just mentioned. So in language translators, they are the kind of a junction points. They are the touch points. They are the bridge between various languages. But point is that how they develop that kind of intelligence. I just quote one example from, because I have been teaching French language for more than 18 years to people from various demographic profiles, and now into corporate workspace, I'm training various professionals. Now, the common thing which translation uh, connects to teaching, although it's a totally different field altogether, totally different kind of a specialization, which I'm not uh, really good at, but how this translation has helped me clear the concepts of students is through Devanagari script. Because I remember whenever I would attend foreign language classes, I would write the pronunciation in our Devanagari lipi, and the same way I share with my learners, whether they are MBA students, BBA students, or corporate professionals, or engineers or CAs. So they all have studied Hindi. So uh, I found that it is very flexible. Now, coming back, how Hindi helped me, I will give you one example. See, when we speak Hindi, we say, मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ. मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ. Okay. Now, when I write it on the board, I would say, मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ. Right? So when we write, it is मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ. But when we speak, मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ, तू चल रहा है. मैं वहाँ जा रही हूँ, तू चल रही है. So that is what the specific thing, that how I am able to communicate to the students through teaching. So I was just trying to mention the role of translators, that is of immense importance, because they are going with the delegates, with the prime minister, with the minister of external affairs, have them roped in, and it's a very sensitive kind of a portfolio. I have a sisterly like Portuguese professor, so she used to share her experiences, because if you do some kind of thing here and there, when you are doing the interpretation between the country heads, you know, it could have some, you know, boomerang effect on anything. So that's what ma'am has just mentioned. It's a very sensitive skill, and it has to be so very well taken care of. That's where your emotional intelligence, that's where your intelligence quotient is important. I know that, but that's where your emotional quotient, you connect with the other person. You have to translate the feelings. You have to see the overall context. in which that particular discussion is happening. And that's how you are able to come out with the right translation or interpretation. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
So the slide has changed.
Okay, it's a previous slide only. There would be another slide. Anyway, I will continue with the whatever I have, and I would be just going it further. So let's not share any more slides. I will be elaborating on this as well. See, this is what the spiritual intelligence is all about. You need to go with the flow, because uh, I had shared a presentation, but this technical issue, technical glitches will keep on happening. It's how you maintain calm, you maintain your composure and go with the flow, right? So it takes time, but if you practice, you can hone that skill into it. Okay, it's very, very difficult for me to, come out with the essence. It's such a wide topic: emotional quotient and intelligence quotient and spiritual quotient. Okay, now intelligence quotient, I would be saying that when you uh, cram the facts, you gather information and you are able to download it. Like if I have to learn the conjugation of the verbs, be it French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, German, or Sanskrit, patati, patsa, patanti. So I have to learn them. So that's where your intelligence quotient comes into picture. And then you have to uh, download that during your examination process. But that is not going to solve the purpose. You have to communicate whatever you have learned. Now that's where your emotional quotient comes into picture, which is managing yourself, managing your emotions, and then understanding others' emotions and helping them come along with you as a team. So you have a cooperative, collaborative form of spirit that you have to imbibe in emotional quotient. Now, coming back to the slide, thank you so much. So you have values, principles, morality, universal brotherhood, respecting each other's religion, thinking and discovering the bigger purpose, meaning of life. Now, leaders have broader thinking patterns. I'm just reading the slide and just try to sum it up, this particular slide, and envisioning their beingness, right? So we are human beings. We are not human haves. Yeah. So I've just tilted that particular word. So we have to be human beings, so being human. So we are more going towards have, to have this, to have that. Then this is an elaboration of what I was sharing in the previous slide. The world is a cosmic web, and just a small disturbance in it is going to affect the design. So I would suggest you all, if you know about this butterfly effect, which is also called ripple effect, and 6 degrees of separatedness. So butterfly effect is, it's a lot of theories have been written on the net. You can just go through that Google, you can read the research papers. This says that a butterfly, if it flutters at one end of the world, say in Mumbai, it's gonna create a volcano in Mexico. The idea is there are so many examples to back up this study, so I'm not going deeper into it. My idea to share these two studies is that we are all interconnected. So be it human to human, it could be animals, flora and fauna, as the eminent previous speaker has already discussed about it. And another theory that backs it up is 6 degrees of separatedness. Now, 6 degrees of separatedness means that if I want to connect or I want to create a network with somebody who is in Europe and I don't know this person, he is just 6 touch points away from him. So I would be knowing somebody who would be knowing somebody else, then that person could be knowing somebody else. So you have a lot of studies that have been done and it has been proved So you can read the research papers. So we are separate from each other in any part of the globe at the only just 6 touch points, right? So that shows that we are interconnected. But how to feel it? It is only through empathy. It is only through spiritual connect. If you are spiritual intelligent, you respect each other religion. It's not only that mera Bharat mahan, आपका पाकिस्तान भी महान, आपका भूटान भी महान, आपका इंग्लैंड भी महान. So we got to make ourselves global citizens. Is as good as that. And in our Vedas, it is already mentioned Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So they have already said that ages and ages ago. So next slide, please. So that is where I'm being able to demonstrate my spiritual intelligence. So good, it is happening. This is fantastic. So it's all part of the we have to take everything as it is happening, and you just maintain calm and keep on doing your karma. That is it. My karma is to share what I've been asked to. Okay, so this is what I've already discussed about it. We can go to next slide now. Next slide, please. Okay, now some important tips for you. So you can hone the skill. When you mention the word intelligence, that means we have a role of brain also come into picture, right? So now you have self-awareness, self-observation, and self-discovery. We all have studied Maslow's theory, right? Need hierarchy theory, and self-actualization will come at the top of the pyramid. No one stops you to tilt that pyramid. So that is what I meant. Revisit the old theories. You have to come out with your own ways of seeing the world. So I'll give you my personal example. It was I was having a lot of turmoil happening in my personal, in my familial, social, professional field. I'm not going into details as of now. So it was something I would go to. Just give you a kind of a glimpse. I would go to temples. I would go to gurudwaras. I would go to churches. I would go to masjids, and I would just cry, cry, cry. I don't know, because didn't have anyone to share my emotions with. And emotions are taken as a person. If I share and I say I cry, in Punjabi, they say, "अरे यार, तुम मुंडा होके रो रहे हैं. Why are you crying? लड़के नहीं होते." I was, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? So you need sometimes a guru, a mentor. Where do I go? So I started exploring on my own, and but I did not get answer. I did not get answer. The moment I was coming out from Sacred Heart Cathedral, that's a church near just next to Saint Columbus School. Those who are from Delhi, and Jesus and Mary School near Golda Khana in Connaught Place. I just saw that a board in which the prayer of Saint Francis Assisi was written, and that changed the total perception of myself. It was, I don't remember word to word, but I have a diary, a kind of a journal in which I have stored all these, and I revisit those. So that have become all the motivating factors, like inspiration. That's why I'm able to speak with you all. Something it says in the nutshell: instead of seeing looking forward to be understood, try to understand. Instead of being healed, try to heal others. That created the whole shift in my entire personality, and I totally drifted towards teaching after having left the corporate sector at a senior management level, and I started from the scratch because this profession made me interested. It interested me so much because you create, you innovate, and you discover yourself. So I was able to tilt the pyramid, and I would just ask the students. I hope I have some time, 5 more minutes.
Yes, sir, sure.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I would just ask my students, yeah. So what are your, what is the purpose of your life? Since I had never thought about it, I never planned my career. So anyway, but I'm happy the way I am. So the students would say, sir, I would be earning, and I said, how much salary are you looking forward to earn? He would say, they're not clear. But anyway, they would say, I say that, okay, 5 years down the line, they would say, sir, I would be a marketing manager or a finance manager or an HR manager. The MBA students, I'm just referring to their case. So I would ask them why, then what? I read this particular concept in it's mentioned in our Vedas. I am not collecting. Then I am an ardent follower of Dr. Deepak Chopra. So, uh, he also mentions about this. He's a mind-body spiritual guru. So then they would say, sir, I would be becoming vice president and earning this much salary. Then what? So they would say, I would get married, do this, that, cars and head an office and this, and expand the operations. So I would ask them, भाई ये करते तुम्हारी एज कितनी हो जाएगी? Well, she said 50. Then what? He said, then the students will say, sir, then uh, I'll be very happy. So फिर मैं उनको बोलता हूँ, instead of just going like this, like a circle, the ultimate thing you want is happiness. So start the other way around. Search for the happiness, do the thing that makes you happy. So I'm glad that I was able to break the pyramid. And when I was 31 years, I changed the career from corporate sector because we were forced to do some things which were not ethical. And I said, no, that's not my cup of coffee. So I keep on improvising. Cup of tea is quite old, so you need to improvise on that. So this is, everyone has their own way of living. So I decided to go like that. And when I started developing myself, because my research is on empathy, I did it from IGNOU. So it's a spirit of empathy in French language classroom. So I go to the students level or bring students to my level. This is very important, and that's what the translators do. That they empathize with the author. Uh, if you are reading Premchand or you are reading Maithili Sharan Gupta or Harivansh Rai Bachchanji, so you need to put yourself into their mental boots. That's what emotional intelligence is all about. And then you have to equally put yourself into the situation in the language, their culture, their society. As Professor Narayan just mentioned about it, culture, society, you have to see those things also. Both, you have to be a master, you have to be an expert in all these. So you got to empathize. Only then you come out with the right kind of a piece of work. And that's how you create a bridge. Yeah. So then you are motivated by principles and values, because I straight away said, no, I won't do any kind of unethical work in my corporate sector. And I started from scratch, one, by taking tuitions. I was married, I had 2 kids, but I'm happy the way I am. So you spiritual intelligent people, they stand by their principle and values, and they transform adversity to growth. The best example is, if you see the COVID, this pandemic era. I never thought that I would be delivering a session like that with Amity. It won't have been possible. I won't be traveling to Lucknow because there is so many portfolios I'm handling here. So it's an international relations cell that I am looking after. And of course, foreign languages. But it's only through this online platform. And how this online platform happened, because of this pandemic era. My full sympathies and my full all compassion is with those who have lost their very loved one, dear ones. I have lost mine as well, but life has to go on. So this opportunity, how it came? It's through adversity that has still is still making rounds in our country, but
ये
the
चल रहा है
positivity is we are connected. Yeah, so online platform. So you tend to take your classes,
हाँ
you attend your MS this through MS Teams. So there's something you
हाँ
are
ये चीज
learning
चलेगा
new technology. Yeah, then you have corporate vision and mission statement to be applied. You like if you take the case of your Amity entire university, you have a vision and mission statement, and within that vision and mission statement, you have your foreign language schools objectives and goals. So it is aligned to that. And this particular International Translation Day is a kind of a operation process procedure, yeah, that is in connect, in tune with the overall objectives of the MIT organization as a whole. Next slide, please. So let's go to the next slide. I've already spoken this, so there is no point. Uh, please, next slide. Let's go to the next slide. So all of you can just read. This presentation is for you, but keep on reading, you know. And I'll suggest that the name of the book, I'm aware, it's one of my most favorite books. This is Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence. I repeat, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence. It is co-authored by Dana Zohar, Dr. Dana Zohar and Dr. I.M. Marshall. And EQ, emotional intelligence, that was a part of my thesis. The world authority in emotional intelligence, that is Mr. Daniel Goleman. So he's written many books. So can we have next slide, please? Okay, so this is, you see the broader picture. You see the broader picture. That's what I meant when we translate, teachers or these specialists translate, they see a broader picture in which the language, in the context of the language from the translation is being done to the context of the language, society, culture, society in which that particular work is being translated. So I would like to end with this particular theme. So it's a 4C approach. You have a compassion, care, concern, convergence. So these are all interrelated somehow. You can start with any C and connect with any C. You have many permutation combinations in this. And spontaneity is what life is all about. And live in here and now. Now, when you say live in here and now, it could be 24 hours. It's up to you how you want to plan the present. If you really go into deeper level, even present is also not in. So we don't have a proper definition of live in here and now. 1 second further divided into millisecond. You keep on dividing. It comes to jiffy. Yeah. So if you just do some research on this, so all we have is past, and we keep on lingering on future. But what I mean is, I came out with a term. You extend, you stretch that present. At least you should be very clear what you want to do today and tomorrow. You have set a goal for your life. Let it be. If you're going to say, if I'm going to Amity University, Lucknow, that is a goal now. Yes. But how would I go there? I need to plan, no? So just take your life like that. Now, your present could be today and tomorrow. It could be a 1 week. It could be 1 month as well. But yes, you have to take on one task at a time. And you need to believe in interconnectedness of universe. Fine. I hope I am able to communicate and do justice to what I have uh, planned and executed. And thank you so much to all of you. to the entire management team and my panel members. I learned a lot. And thank you, Dr. British and Shraddha Madam and such wonderful professional students. The way you are managing and coordinating, it's excellent. Keep it up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, sir, for enhancing our intellectual and emotional quotient by a wonderful presentation. It was indeed a treat to our ears.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the invite. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. There are hundreds of languages spoken around the world, yet a smile can communicate in any of them. And with this huge smile on our faces, we bring this event to a close. With this, I would like to invite upon Mr. Harshvardhan Singh to kindly deliver the vote of thanks and bring a beautiful conclusion to this event.
Thank you, Kajal. So coming towards the end of the event, I, Harshvardhan, on behalf of Abhivyakti Foreign Language Club, Amity School of Languages, would like to thank Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray ma'am for encouraging us for the event. I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our guest speaker, Professor Nitanarayan ma'am and Dr. Ajay Sahani sir, for taking their valuable time to accept our invite and being there with us. Today we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is surely going to encourage us in our future. I would like to thank Shraddha ma'am and British sir for the opportunity to come up with such a great event. I also extend thanks to all the faculty members for their enormous cooperation within the organization of this event and joining it just to encourage us. A big thanks to the core team who have been working with us since past month to make this event successful. Students who showed their enthusiastic participation. I would also like to thank the amazing audience for their support and being so patient with us during the entire event. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to request you all to switch on your camera so that we can take a virtual picture together. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for joining in, and it was delighted to see you all. Now we would request to take the lead.
Well done, students. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for joining our event.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It was lovely hearing from both of you. We learned a lot about translation there and its importance. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, and all the best to you all once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.